It is Monday and we are continuing on Unit 13. This will be week 2 where we are talking eggs. Our goal for this week of the unit is just to continue to help our kids explore other animals that lay eggs. As always, we are going to use fun and simple, easy to prep activities using practical items around the house, and if you can't find the same stuff that we are using, you will easily find a substitute within your own home. I'll be sure to list the supplies and books that we're going to use this week in the description below, and if you've just stumbled upon this video, I'll be sure to link our playlist so you can catch us right from the beginning at week 1. Unit 1. After you do your morning calendar routine, you're going to want to include the poem and song again for this unit just to get the egg conversation going again. And I will say, over the weekend, we found a Kinder egg in our fridge, and we have discovered that there is now 3 robin's eggs in our nest instead of just 2. Pretty awesome. So use the poem and song to just kind of reintroduce the topic of eggs, and then you want to get into today's read aloud, which is called Hattie, Peck. As always, you're encouraged to do a picture walk through the book first, trying to guess what's going to happen with your kiddo before you do the actual read aloud. So for our things to talk about, we really want to focus on the last page of this book and talk about all the animals that are on this page and how Hattie Peck really worked hard to fulfill her dreams. We watched this book about 10, 12 times through. Nola really liked this book. I really liked this book. It's a really cute story, and because she was so interested in it, the recap and recall was really easy for her on this one. Then we're going to get into today's learning activity, which is an egg hunt and egg sorting. So break out those plastic eggs, hide them around your house like it's Easter morning, and then have your kiddos go around and find the eggs, and once they have found them all and collected them, have them sort them by color. So we started out with this one as soon as Nola came down the stairs. I had a couple hiding in obvious places. I hid some in harder places, and she was disappointed that they were empty. I didn't stuff them as they would have been stuffed on Easter, but she quickly got over that and really enjoyed this Easter egg, or not an Easter egg hunt, just simply an egg hunt, but we called it an Easter egg hunt. And be prepared to play this all week long, because I'm pretty sure we're going to do this every single day. We did it probably 5 times in the morning and then again in the afternoon after we came inside, and it's a game that just kind of never ends. And then for our easy activity today is simply an egg stamp. Grab a couple of those plastic eggs, get some paint, get a big sheet of paper, and use the egg as a stamp. Explore different sides of the egg that you can use, different shapes that you could make using the circle imprint from the egg. I really tried to emphasize that with Nola, but she just wasn't having it. I thought maybe we could make some caterpillars and some letters and stuff like that, but she just wanted to mush the paint around on the paper, so I let it be. She was happy, I'm happy. Tuesday, after your morning routine, we are going to reread or watch yesterday's read aloud. And for our things to talk about today, we are going to reintroduce or revisit the letter E. So you're going to want to go back through the read aloud and on a couple of pages try to find an example of both an upper and lowercase e. Talk about the sound that it makes, go over some familiar words that begin with this letter, and make sure you have this letter written on a chalkboard, whiteboard, piece of paper, or whatever you got. Our learning activity today is matching quantities. So take some of those plastic eggs again and open them up and completely separate them. On half you're going to want to write out a number, and then on the other half you're going to want to write out the corresponding dots so that they will come and match these eggs up with the number and the correct amount of dots. So we got into this one first thing this morning, and it was quite a bit of fun, but what I didn't realize last night while I was preparing this is I used the same color top and bottom, and I used a variety of different colors of eggs. So Nola quickly caught on that she could just match the color and didn't have to necessarily count out the dots to match them. Clever little duck. I really encouraged her to count the dots to make sure, and there were a few of the same colored eggs in there. And I didn't do this all at once. I did blocks of 6 numbers, so we would do from number 6 to number 12, just to mix things up a little bit. We very repeatedly do numbers 1 through 10, and you know, you pick the numbers that are appropriate for your child, however high they can count, or maybe some numbers that they're working on and you want to review. You can really do any numbers that you want with this. So I did it in a few short blocks a couple of times throughout the day so that she wouldn't tire of it, or it didn't seem like a daunting task with this huge bowl of egg that she would have to just continuously count and match together, because I've found that if there's too much, then it's not fun and it becomes more of a chore. So we broke it up and that worked out great. And I will say something that caught me off with this, with the first group of numbers that we did with numbers 6 through 12, I asked her to line up the numbers in a row and she was kind of lost, seeing as we always start with the number 1, it seems. So starting with the smallest number. She really needed a lot of my help figuring out which was the smallest number, and then just the sequential order after that. It totally threw her off, which I think was great. It was a great way to keep her little brain going and keep her challenged with these activities. Then our easy activity today is our alphabet page. So for this activity, you want to print off a large block letter E, or just draw one out on a piece of paper, and get those eggshells from last week's egg peeling activity, which we have tried a few more times of blowing the eggs out of the shells. Seriously, you have to try it. It's a lot of fun. And have them crush up the eggs, and you know, they can color or paint first and then sprinkle on the eggshells however they please. Really, it's their E, let them be creative. And once it's all dried up, add it to our alphabet book, and that is all for today. Wednesday. So after your morning routine, you're going to want to introduce the topic of groups and counting groups and adding groups together. So model this scenario of you have one little group of eggs over here and a second little group here, and you count the amount of eggs in each group, and then you count the amount of eggs all together. Now, throughout these activities, don't expect perfection. We're just starting to introduce this. We're introducing the language, the idea. We're just beginning with this here. Our read aloud today is 10 eggs in a nest. It's a great one. Do a picture walkthrough with your kiddos first. See if you can guess what's happening before you do the actual read aloud. So for our things to talk about is to just go over what happens in 10 eggs in a nest and about counting and grouping. And again, we're not looking for perfection. I'd say we watched the book probably half a dozen times, and we would just pause since we do it on YouTube. Oh, well, make up your mind, kid. And count the groups of eggs, add up the groups of eggs, and even with the worms too. Our easy activity is measuring egg towers. So crack open your eggs and see how many you can stack before they fall over. Stack both sides, stack them together, stack the two pieces apart. You can't decide whether you want up or down, huh? And then stack them up against other items. I mean, if you have some Duplo or Lego, we had this little guy here is a tower wrecking master. So it was a little bit tricky to get our towers up, but we tried to put the towers on our heads, we put them on our arms, we put them on our legs, and we guessed at how many eggs we could stack before it would fall over. We counted how many we actually had. It was pretty fun play. Our easy activity is racing eggs. So draw yourself out a quick game board of just 20 spaces with a start and a finish. Grab some dice and see who makes it to the finish line first. For this activity, we used a dice each, and we both rolled at the same time on the first round and went through our game board, and we did that a couple of times, and then we took turns rolling both dice and counting the numbers on each dice and adding them together to see who could make it to the finish line first. Friday, after your morning calendar or circle time routine, then ask your kiddo a simple question like, tell me something you know about eggs, and see what they come up with. Then we are going to do today's read aloud, which is just a repeat of yesterday's. And today's, I think we got through it about 3 times, and then she was done. Your turn. For our things to talk about, we are going to revisit the letter E. So you want to have this written on a chalkboard, whiteboard, piece of paper, whatever you've got. Include some familiar words and be sure to go over the sound. Our learning activity for the day is joining eggs. Thanks. So for this activity, again, we're going to introduce the idea that 2 numbers can be joined together to make 1 number. So we're going to start out real slow. Grab a few plastic eggs, take 1 and 1, and then have your child count them together. Then take 2 plus 1 and have your child count each piles and then count them together. 3 plus 1. Use whatever numbers you feel would be appropriate for your child and whatever level they are at. And again, we are not looking for them to master this by now. We're just introducing it, something they're really getting used to. It's going to take them a while to wrap their head around this one. The activity is just to introduce the idea that you can take 2 numbers or 2 groups and add them together. Okay, I'll hold. Thank you. I think that's empty. For this activity, we did this a few times today. I chose to do short little bouts again with this one and scatter it throughout the day. So in the morning we started, we tore apart our sectional couch to clean underneath it, and we had all the pieces spread out throughout the living room. So we were counting what groups we had on each side and adding them together. And then for the egg themed activity. We took the eggs in the bath today. So we took this opportunity to wash our eggs from a couple of days ago. We still had the numbers and dots on, and this is where we split up our groups. We were adding them together, keeping it small, keeping the numbers small, and just trying to keep it fun. We also did this randomly a few more times throughout the day, whether the kids were playing with cars together. I would just suddenly ask Nola how many she had, how many Colton had, how many there were together, things like that, just to kind of keep presenting her with this idea of grouping numbers together. And this way she didn't tire of it, she didn't bore of it, and it managed to stay fun, I think. The last activity of the day is our easy activity, and it is an egg sensory bin. So grab that rice, or really whatever you want to use. I almost dumped all the eggshells in there, but you know, I don't want to waste it. I'm still not done playing with those. So get some empty egg cartons, grab some of your eggs, put them in a bin, and let them play. This is a great activity, like I've mentioned millions of times before. Once you have your kids playing nicely in a sensory bin, it's awesome. I've completely cooked dinner while they were playing in the sensory bin, which they have just abandoned, by the way. They played in this for probably a good hour while I was just in the kitchen with them, tidying up and getting our dinner ready. And it's a really great way for them to just enjoy and have their own play, their own take on things. And while they were playing with this, Nola wasn't grouping numbers together, but she was counting the individual groups that she had put within the carton. And I didn't want to push it. I wanted to just let her have fun. So I didn't encourage her to count them all together or anything like that. I just let her be her and have fun with this one. And that's all for today. So it's Friday, for real this time, and after you do your morning calendar or routine, you want to get into today's read aloud, which is called The Golden Egg. Great little book. We watched it once and only once because she really wanted to watch 10 Eggs in a Nest. She really likes that book, and when they say you could have knocked him over with a feather, she just cracks herself up laughing. So we watched today's read aloud once and then went back to yesterday's read aloud. 4 things to talk about today. You're going to want to help your child recap and recall the segments of the story, the beginning, the middle, and the end. Once Nola was really telling me how badly she wanted to watch yesterday's read aloud, we quickly discussed this book before we got into yesterday's book. Today we are going to do an alphabet review on all the letters that we've done so far, and for this activity, which is our learning activity today, you are to, or is suggested in the program, that you get out a cookie sheet and a marker and write out the letters onto a cookie sheet, and then hide some magnetic letters in your in your eggs, hide them throughout the house, do an egg hunt, and then have your kiddo come and match up the numbers. So I don't have magnetic numbers, we have foam numbers, but we basically did the same thing. I put the letters, I keep saying numbers I think, but I mean letters. I put the letters on Post-its inside the egg and then just had our foam letters laid out on a cookie sheet. When Nola woke up this morning and saw that, she cradled my face in her hands and very seriously said, "Mom, I don't want to do an activity, I just want to play with the letters." So we played with the letters, and she flat out refused to do the activity this morning. She didn't, stomp away and say, "No, I won't do that," but she had no interest in it. She was just like, an egg hunt again. She found all the eggs, and that was kind of fun, and she popped one open and saw a letter, and then just kind of ran away from the bowl of eggs. But Colton, however, did his best to get as many letters out of the eggs as he could and hang them up on the wall with our letter E's from earlier in the week. All that we have left now is our learning activity, which this is a fun one. Get out the baking soda and food coloring and some vinegar. If you have plastic egg cartons, that would be a great item to use. If not, you can use an ice cube tray or a muffin tin, anything like that will work. And the idea is to squirt a little bit of food coloring in each section and then put a bit of baking soda on top and give your kiddo a squirt bottle and let them squirt away, and you will have an erupting volcano of color, and the color is a surprise because it's hidden. Now, we have used a squirt bottle for this activity before, which does work quite well, but it ends very, very quickly. Today we decided to bring it outside, so, you know, because somebody woke up earlier than expected, and we want him to have fun and play with us too, but this could get really messy inside. We've never had a, you know, sensory play on this level before. So we're having lots of fun in the yard making things bubble. So we've just finished up with our baking soda and vinegar. It was a lot of fun this time, wasn't it, Nola? It was really fun to play with it outside. In the end, we were just pouring and pouring and pouring the vinegar on top and really making it explode once the kids had kind of finished with it. But a little tip for this one, the baking soda usually settles at the bottom, so you can just dump the vinegar off the top and then add some more food coloring in and keep adding vinegar on, and it will just keep exploding and exploding and exploding. Now we're having a little mud pie, I don't even know what, happening in our little outdoor table. And I'm sure that will be just as fun and just as messy. Have a great weekend, guys. That's it for the day. That's it for the week. Another fantastic week as always. If you like this video, then please show us and give us a thumbs up, or perhaps share it with somebody you think might enjoy it as well, or consider subscribing. Thank you.